Alright, so let's get our first program in PHP written. So what I'm going to do is, I'm using Mac. If you're using Windows, you can just do pretty much the same thing. So what I'll do is, I'll go to my htdocs folder in MOM, and let me create a new folder called PHP exercises. And this is where I'll be doing the exercises. Okay, so what I'll do is I have MOM server. So I'm going to go to preferences. If you have WAMP, then you can do basically the same thing. And I'm going to have localhost point to my MOM and htdocs PHP exercise. Okay, so let me just put it there. Okay, and then I'm going to start my server. Okay, so basically we want localhost to point to that folder. Okay, alright, so if I go there, it should have an empty, because I haven't created any of the files. Alright, so here I'm going to open up Sublime, and I'm going to go to project on the top, add folder to project, and then I'm going to say application MOM htdocs PHP exercises, and then this shows up. So here in Sublime, I'm going to create a new file. Let's just save this as exercise1.php. Okay. So I'm not going to provide a copy of these codes. You will have to watch the video and do it as you watch this. Okay, so I save this. If I go here, there's exercise1.php, and I can put some hello, for example, and it shows up. Okay. Alright, so here what I'm going to talk about how to put PHP codes, and then also how comment works. So PHP file just works like an HTML. So let's say, for example, I can do title exercise 1, and that should go under the head, right? I can also use encoding HTML5, and then for the title, let me put that in the head, or just put it here. So for encoding in Sublime, I installed a plugin. I do HTML:5, and then if I do a tab, then it just generates it. Now you can use encoding, or you can just type it. I used to not like encoding, but just to make things easier, I'm just using encoding for now. Alright, so PHP file just works exactly like HTML. So I can put heading, heading 1, and then paragraph. And if I reload it, it's just exactly like HTML. But what I can do in PHP is I can insert some programming, PHP languages inside this HTML. So what I would do, for example, is, let's say, for example, over here, I want to put some PHP program. So I do this. That's how I start the PHP code, and that's how it ends the PHP. Okay, so I can do, for example, I can say X, and when I declare a variable in PHP, I always start with $, and then let's say X is coding dojo. And whenever you finish an operation, you do a semicolon, and this tells PHP that that's one operation that needs to be run. Okay, in Python and in Ruby, you don't actually have to have a semicolon, but in PHP you have to have a semicolon. And just like C++, you have to have a semicolon as well. Now I can also echo out this value, and if I do this, then it's going to echo out coding dojo over here. Okay, so again, this is how you start PHP code, this is how you end PHP, and you can insert PHP codes anywhere as long as the file extension is .php. If the file extension is .php, your Apache server would read this and be like, okay, it's a PHP file, so anything that's inside this question mark PHP here, use PHP interpreter to run this, but everything else is just an HTML file. That's basically how it works. Okay, alright, so I can set variable here, I can echo it out. Let's also do, for example, so let's do another example, example 2, and here I'm going to run another PHP, and here let's set some number. So I'm going to say x is equal to 1, and then I'm going to do x plus 5 plus x plus 2. Okay, and then I'm going to echo x. Okay, so as you watch the video, just do the same thing that I'm doing. Okay, now a lot of people who are new to programming are kind of confused on this. Okay, on this equal sign. So equal sign in programming is not the same as our mathematical equal sign. What this means is it basically says, okay, get 1, that's the value, and set x to be 1. That's what this means. Now what this means is it says, okay, do x plus 5. So what is this? That's going to be 6. Now do x plus 2. That's going to be 7. So x plus 5, that's going to be replaced by 6. X plus 2 is going to be replaced to a value of 3, and it's going to run 6 plus 3. And what's the return? What's that? That's going to be 9. And then once it does the computation, it sets x to be that value. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so what it does is it does this, x plus 5, and gets the value. It does x plus 2, gets the value. Now performs the rest of the operation, and then sets x to be that. Okay, so it always does the right-hand computation first, and then sets the left variable to be the value that's on the right. Okay, let's do another example. So let's say, for example, y is equal to 10, and I say y, or x is now going to be equal to y times 10 plus y. Okay, so what does that mean? It means it's going to do y times 10, and then it's going to add the value of that to the value of y. Okay, so y is 10, so it's going, and then this is going to be 100, so it's going to do 100 plus 10, so that's 110, and x is going to be replaced by 110. Okay, all right. So if I do this, let's echo out x here, and then I'm going to add just a break statement. That's break statement in HTML. And if I run this, then it's going to say 9 and then 110, right? Okay, and then can do x value is. So whenever I add a string to another value, I just do dot, and we'll talk about that in maybe some other tabs as well. So we'll say x value is, and then do the same thing. Okay, so 9 and 110. So just make sure this does not mean x is equal to that. It means, okay, compute this and then store the value of that, value of this, in a variable called x. Okay, another example. X is equal to x plus 1. Okay, so right now x is 110, right? By the time that it goes here. So x is 110. So it says, okay, do x plus 1. What's the value of that? That's now 111, and then it's going to set 111 to be the value of x. Okay, so if I copy this and paste it, it's going to say x value is 111. Now, why did it, put it on the same line as that? It's because, well, I can say go to the new line by putting an HTML break statement, and then if I look at the view page source, you can just tell that it was just, it just put a break statement in HTML, and browser put it in the next line. Alright, so that's really important, that it always does the right hand computation and then stores the value of that to the left variable. Alright, now as far as putting comments, there are a few ways that you can put comments. I don't know if we talked about this in HTML, but in the HTML, if I want to comment HTML, this is what I would do. I start the comment here and then I end it here. I can also, if I'm using Sublime, I can do Command Shift or Command backslash or /, I can't remember, just try it, and then it will comment and uncomment as I do Command or Control /. And same thing with PHP. If I want to just comment one line, I just do //. If I'm using Sublime, it will just do it for you. If I want to comment out multiple lines, then you can do things like this, or if I want to comment out multiple lines, you can also just do something like this. Okay, so for example, let's say I wanted to comment all of this. So I start here, and then I'll say, okay, so that's what you can do. But again, if you have Sublime, you can just highlight the sections that you want to comment or uncomment, and then do command slash. Okay, all right, so cool. We'll go to the next section.